Dreaming of a European place after finishing 7th in the Premier League. However, 5 years on and they find their team on the brink of League One football, with the threat of administration also looming large. A win last weekend against Plymouth has given the Addicks some hope of Championship survival, but it's all a far cry from those happy days in the top flight.
For nearly a decade, Charlton were regarded as a shining example of how a club could establish itself in the Premier League on modest resources. But since suffering relegation in 2007, things have gone from bad to worse. 3 managers later, with a big cash injection from the Middle East failing to materialise, the Addicks find themselves rooted to the bottom of the Championship. In 1999, Charlton fell from the Premier League under this man. But the very next season, they were back.
You know, we still kept the humble mentality and we still kept the hunger that we wanted to go back in the Premier League and we want to be part of that. I think now, no disrespect to players, but I don't think perhaps the loyalty is there as it was before. I think that the players all want to play in the Premier League, and if there's a situation when they suddenly fall out of it, you know, it's not their fault, apparently.
I think if you ask any player where they want to play their football, they'd say in the Premier League. I think that's, you know, where you want to play. You want to test yourself against the best. But at the same time, you know, having gone down, I think you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the supporters to try and get yourselves back up as quickly as possible. You can make as many excuses you want, but I think every individual has to take responsibility and look at it and perhaps say that, you know, we've not been good enough. How have the fans been?
Well, the supporters at home have been tremendous. I can't fault the backing they've given us. Of course, there's been times when they've showed their discontent with the performances, but I can't blame them for that.
Why are Charlton in this situation they're in right now?
How long have you got?
One explanation might be the idea that we were a model of a well-run club financially. You know, I wonder how true that is if you look at perhaps the outgoings in terms of wages. So, you know, a lot of money was coming in, but really to compete and maintain the standards at the level you're talking about, a lot of money has to go out.
Everything started to go into turmoil after Kirbishley. We had Dowie coming into the club. We spent a lot of money, 2 seasons worth of budget. Pardew came in, tried to rescue us. We were unlucky not to escape relegation. And then that summer it all seemed to really fall apart. I mean, obviously we had to get rid of a lot of players because we had to balance the books.
We had the parachute payment, don't you, for 2 years. Of course, that 2 years is up this year. So yeah, obviously you have to cut your cloth accordingly. Unfortunately, you know, we've lost people at the club here, and that's not nice.
On the upside, Charlton's 2-0 win over Plymouth last weekend seems to have lifted the mood at training, and perhaps there's enough quality in this big squad to launch a fight back.
Well, the message to the fans is we'll be doing everything we can to try and get ourselves out the hole that we've got ourselves in, and hope for these 14 games there'll be enough sweat, blood, and you know, we can do enough to get ourselves out of the predicament we're in.
If they got relegated, would you come back next year?
Oh, of course. Of course. I've seen us play in the 3rd division before. No question. I'll always be here. It's my club.
Yeah, for a long time, Charlton was held up as a well-run football club, wasn't it? But it's all gone horribly wrong,
well,
it
you
seems.
know, it all went horribly wrong since one or two of the supporters were going on the phone in saying Alan Kirbishley can't take us any further, and they were like 7th or 8th in the Premier League, and they were the epitome of the well-run, smaller club that got into the Premier League. They did absolutely fantastic. Once they started changing managers, it's just got worse and worse and worse and worse. I think you fear the worst for them now.